what was everyone else around you saying?
They were like, this is crazy. I have a job. I'm a matchmaker. This is the most important thing in the world.
First of all, the Netflix show Jewish Matchmaker, how that happened.
I didn't want to ruin the Jewish people. Not to take us back to Bible times, but I really did ask God for a sign. Like, I need to know, I'm not signing a contract with Netflix. I'm signing a contract with you. March 1st of 2021, and we arrive in Israel. We're in Jerusalem. We're standing at the hotel, davening, praying. I'm crying. My dream came true. I'm here. I made Aliyah. This thing that I was like chasing and running after, it actually happened. I finish, and I am like backing away from the hotel, and my phone starts buzzing, and I look, and it's like, hey, you coming to the meeting? All the producers are here. We're waiting for you. And I was like, wait, what? And they're like, well, then I guess this is the best place to tell you that we picked you. We're ready to move forward. We're sending you a contract. And like, yeah, this is it. It's like, show is greenlit. We're ready to go.
Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the Proctor Effect. My guest today was the famous, I'm going to call her famous, the Jewish matchmaker, Aleeza Ben Shalom. She is a phenomenal person. And if you guys listen to this, obviously you're listening virtually, you're not in the room, but the energy that she has with everything that she does, the passion, the story that she got to, how she got to Israel, and all the work that she does in the Jewish community, outside the Jewish community, is just phenomenal and inspiring. And to wake up every single day and to do a job that you love like Aleeza is very, very inspiring. And for whoever's listening to this episode, wherever you are in the world, buckle your seatbelt, because this is a phenomenal one. Now it's time to listen to my episode with Aleeza Ben Shalom. Enjoy. We are ready to rock and roll. I'm beyond excited for the person in front of me right now. For those that can see on screen, it is the Jewish matchmaker, Aleeza Ben Shalom.
Hello.
Before we jump into anything, first of all, I just have to start off with a thank you. For those that don't know, we're in our undisclosed Moral Edge location. Not going to say we're in Israel, but you came very far for this. So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
B'simcha, with pleasure.
Amazing. So obviously there's so much we're going to talk about today. Your life, what you've done, the Jewish matchmaker, the Netflix show, and everything else that makes you into who you are. But obviously, a lot of people, I'm sure, they probably know your face. They know who you are. They read your articles, as I do, in shul every single Shabbos. By the way, I love those. Shout out. Thank you. Torah tidbits, for those that don't know, by the OU. They should read those articles. But most importantly, obviously, you have a background. You have a story of how you got here today. So bring me through the early years of your life. I know you grew up in the United States and obviously moved to Israel. So take me and the listeners through that, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Grew up in Philadelphia, was born Jewish and conservative Judaism, like as a movement. That's where I came from. And I say I loved my Judaism, but I wasn't living my Judaism. And somewhere in my mid-teens started to do things like USY, BBYO, and like connect with other Jews and groups of Jewish people doing stuff. And I was like, oh, like that Shabbat thing that we learned about, like people do that? Like that's not just like in concept in Hebrew school, like it's a thing. And they're like, yeah, like every week. And I was like the whole thing? And they're like, yeah, like the real, I was like, oh, right. So I started to not just learn about it and know about it. It started not to be a brain thing. It started to be an experiential thing. And I was like, oh, I like this. I could do that. But when you start to do your Jewish stuff, like when you live your Judaism, you're no longer just Jewish. All of a sudden you get a label and you're like Orthodox. And everybody starts to freak out that you're Orthodox. And I was like, no, I'm just Jewish doing Judaism. I thought this is a part of like what you're supposed to do. So I came into my Judaism more somewhere between my teens through my early 20s. And I really came to it from a program called Israelite with Rabbi David Aaron. Wow. You know Rabbi David Aaron?
Phenomenal person.
Outstanding teacher. And I was at a Jewish singles retreat. And at the end of it, it's not that I found my person, although my husband happened to have been on that retreat. But I feel like I found Hashem. I found God. It was just like a moment of, oh my gosh, I love my Judaism. I'm going to live my Judaism. Naaseh v'nishma. I don't know what all the rules are, but like game on, I'm in. I want to play this game. And literally I flipped my life. So like fast forward from that retreat until I got married happened to have been 8 months. I don't recommend this to anybody. Not normal to do that. But I went from tank tops and flip-flops to covering head, shoulders, knees, and toes in the span of 8 months.
How old were you at this time?
I was 24. I was 24, turning 25. 24 turned 25. And I got married at 25.
So I'm curious, just like at that stage of your life, not growing up religious and then making that insane shift, what was everyone else around you saying, especially your family?
Yeah, they were like, this is crazy. This is not normal. And my mom of blessed memory, she said, listen, this isn't normal. And this is really like flaky. Like you're like, freaking out on us, but you're not flaky. So I'm going to trust that this is for real, but I just want to let you know, it doesn't look that way. Like this seems so crazy. I went from secular to 4 months later, going to a retreat, being inspired, going, I'm going to do this Shabbat thing. I took on 4 things: Shabbat, kosher, dressing modestly, and prayer. I was like, 613 mitzvahs. That list is a little too long, but I could do like the Aleeza top 4. So I went to places and I called my girlfriend who was religious. I was like, listen, how do you I need to buy clothes. What do you buy? She goes, well, how religious do you want to be? I'm like, I don't even understand the question. I was like, I want to just be Jewish and I want to observe whatever you're supposed to observe. She goes, because you can cover collarbones, elbows, knees. You can go down to the wrists, the ankles. I was like, I just need the rules. I want to buy clothing. I don't have modest clothing. Define for me modest clothing. She couldn't do it, right? It was like, but she's right? What kind of a Jewish person do you want to be? And I didn't have an answer to that. So it was this whole process, but it was a very accelerated process because I asked her that question. And, 2 months later, I'm dating. And I don't know, 3 weeks after we're dating, we get engaged. And 4 months later, we get married. That was after 8 months. 8 months, tank tops and flip-flops to head, shoulders, knees, and toes. From February of 2002 to October 13th of 2002, that's when I got married. And that was it. And it was kind of like, jumping into the water, the sea splits, and you're like, okay, but you had to jump in. But most people who jump in and do listen, I'm not recommending that, by the way. Total disclaimer, don't do this. Even though it's something that I did. First of all, you have to know yourself really well. You have to know the person that you're dating really well. You have to know your Judaism really well. And if you're not in touch with all of those things, then you are going to make a big mistake and you will probably step out of your Judaism and probably step out of your marriage. We, thank God, are married 23 years. We have 5 children. 5 years ago, we made Aliyah and we made it happen. But I just happen to be pretty, when I don't know what I want to do, I don't do anything. I just ruminate and I think and I sit with it. When I know what I want to do, just watch out. It's done. It's already done. I thought it was done.
Honestly, first of all, I respect it so much because there's sometimes in life when you have something in front of you and that's the right way to go, it's hard, but the fact that you took it on and just did it, and thank God 23 years later, you're married with 5 children. In that stage when you're taking all these things on, were you ever thinking to yourself, is this really going to last or not? I know you touched on that a second ago, but how did you have the confidence enough to say, wow, I'm making this life shift. I'm going to choose to go the religious path, but I know this is really me.
So I had a conversation with one of my uncles and I was trying to explain to him Shomer Negia and not touching. And that even applies to family members. And he's like, but what if this doesn't work out? What if you don't like it? What if you want to go back? I said, well, I guess if I change my mind, then I'll go back. If I don't want to be religious, I guess I won't. But for me, it was clear as day. It wasn't about religion. It wasn't about Judaism. It was really about God. It was I had an awareness that there's a God in this world and I have a connection to God in this world. And with that connection, I asked myself, well, what are the rules? What am I supposed to do? There's got to be a playbook. There's got to be something that tells us how do we go from when we're born to when we die and do it as gracefully as possible. And for me, that's, Judaism, God, Torah, the Jewish community, the Jewish people living in Israel. That's my playbook. And I just started to live it.
Honestly, I take inspiration from hearing that because it's being Jewish at the end of the day, a lot of things are called repetitive. Every single day you wake up, you have certain, pray 3 times a day. You have to, wash your hands this way, go to the bathroom this way. And, it gets repetitive. So honestly, that was a little bit of inspiration for myself. But the next thing that I'm curious about is you got married at 24, 25, you said, right?
Yep.
And then obviously now you live in Israel. Do you ever think back then when you were going through that shift that Israel, down the line, that's where I want to be? Or was it
there was no, there was nothing. There was, I'm dating. I one day want to move to Israel. We're going to make a plan. So if you're dating me, you have to want to move to Israel. If it's maybe, you're not my human. So I started dating and I said to my husband, he was just Gershon at the time. Do you want to move to Israel? And he said, sure. Yes, I do. I said, great. Me too. When? He's like, I don't know. I said, okay, 5 years. We'll get married. We'll move in 5 years. He's like, listen, takes time. You got to establish yourself, save money. They say, the way to have a lot of money in Israel is to come with it. Mm-hmm. Right. So he said, we need to establish ourselves. We'll figure it out. And I was like, 10 years. We're going to already be established in the community we're in. Okay. 5 years too short. Okay. 7. Let's do 7 years. from our wedding anniversary, we'll move to Israel. And that was our plan. And 18 years later, we made Aliyah.
I was gonna say, if anybody's actually paying attention and doing the math, 23 years married, had that plan. So take me through what happened during that stage before you got to Israel.
Before Israel, we lived in Philadelphia, had a phenomenal community with many friends, completely integrated. Both of our families are from there. So it's very comfortable, very home, very at ease. And we had this mindset shift up until the 5th or 6th year of marriage. Like, we're making Aliyah. We tell the parents, guess what? We're making Aliyah. Oh, only 3 more years left. Only 2. We were doing a countdown, so to speak. And at a certain point, the parents said, listen, we can't handle hearing this anymore. It's very upsetting to us. And just, great, we get it. You're going. Stop talking about it. And I respect that very much. And then at a certain point, we went to our rabbi and we said, we want to make Aliyah. And he said, okay. Are you going for education? I'm like, no, we've got great education in Philly. Are you going for Parnassa? Do you need to earn a living? And that's where it's at. And we're like, no, I don't even know how we're going to earn a living there. He said, okay, are you going for family? We're like, no, we have second cousins here. We have nobody. We don't know. Our family's all here. And he goes, probably not the right time to go. And we sat with it. And we knew that the parents didn't want us to go. And we knew that if we went, this was for us a one-way ticket, meaning some people are like, we'll try it on for size. We'll do Aliyah. We'll do a pilot trip. We'll do a pilot year. And I was like, no. We are going and we are moving and we are making it. And that's the only option. And if this isn't the right time to do it, and this isn't the right way to do it, then we're not going to do it. And we really took that advice to heart. The Hanukkah of the 6th year into the almost 7th year of we're planning to go. For Hanukkah, I wrote a poem and we gave it to the parents that basically said, when we see signs of the Moshiach, we're making Aliyah. We're not going now. It's not the right time. We don't have the right reasons to go. And we're here for now. But signs of Moshiach and we're gone. And then COVID hit.
Wow.
Right? The whole world is shifting. And then there's new elections happening in America. And we were seeing a massive world order shift. And I was like, now, we're going now. This is it. We also had children who, we have 5 children. Our youngest is now 12 and our oldest is 22. And we came when they were between 7 to 17. Okay? The perfectly right time to ruin your children's lives, really to ruin it. And it was COVID. I was like, COVID ruined everybody's life anyway. So Aliyah is really going to probably make it better, not worse. And the big kids, we sent to a program called Na'aleh, where they have boarding schools. They take kids from outside of Israel. They put them in boarding schools. They give them ulpan. They help them, fine. And they arrived to Israel. They had never been here. Okay. My children didn't even have passports in 2020. Okay. When COVID hit. And by October 2020, we had 2 children who had never been to Israel on a plane going, you're going to boarding school there. We'll be there in about 3 months. We're making Aliyah. We're done. Say goodbye to your friends. We love you. Bye. Yeah. And those 2 children are now in the army. And we have figured out how to integrate. I mean, I'm really fast forwarding you.
I'm sure.
But, and the biggest challenge for us is Hebrew. Really, really the biggest challenge is Hebrew. We don't have Israeli or Hebrew speaking family. It wasn't something that we worked on a lot. We have biblical Hebrew, which is not modern Hebrew. Mm-hmm. And that's the greatest challenge, reading, writing, speaking Hebrew. I would say speaking is most important, and then reading and then, writing and WhatsApp messages.
First of all, I find it amazing. And as you said, the moving to Israel with the kids from 7 all the way to 17 is on paper, probably shouldn't go. Yeah. But the fact that you're here and, thank God you have 2 kids in the army and they give you a lot of nachas, it's really special. Looking back now that you made the decision coming here during COVID, do you ever think to yourself wow, I wish I did it earlier, or was that the perfect time?
My kids say to me, why didn't we do this earlier? We should have done this earlier because then we would know Hebrew. It wouldn't be such a struggle to be here. And I said, I wish we would have, but it wasn't the right time. Right? When we came, it was so crystal clear. It was the right time and everything was hard and it still is a challenge, but it opened up in the right way that looking back, I'm like, it's just what it is. That's our story. Everybody's got their story and nope, you didn't have it easy. Our youngest was 7. So he was in 1st grade, 2nd grade coming. He's having the easiest, Hebrew speaking transition. All of my children are social. So friendship was not an issue. Transition, I'm a transition expert, right? We go from single to married. We go from Philadelphia to Israel. I can transition people extremely well. It's one of my like high skill sets because I also think everything through. So I basically told the kids, and I was wrong about this. I told the kids, listen, we're going to make Aliyah. It's going to be really hard. You're not going to speak the language. You're not going to know what anybody's saying. It's going to be confusing, but your brain's going to get it because our brains are really, really smart. And it's probably just going to take like 3 years. And in 3 years, like it starts to click and you're going to be fine. I was wrong. It's about 5 years.
Listen, at some point,
everything else is true though.
at some point, God willing, you hope it clicks together and you make it work. And to that point, like, yes, you could have come earlier, but everything happens at the right time. And as you were saying before, like your job of what you do, you're a matchmaker. That's right. Your thing. And you help people go through that transition. So take me through that. Like first of all, backtrack even. What is matchmaking? For someone that's listening to this, that might not even be in the Jewish community, that's like matchmaker, like what could that be? Take me through a little bit of a basic crash course into what matchmaking is, and then how do you get into that?
So matchmaking is the art of bringing two people together who have life goals and values in common that want to build a life together for a lifetime.
That was a very good description.
That's the short answer. The long answer is that a matchmaker is somebody who brings people together. It's really messy. You get WhatsApp messages at midnight and 2 a.m. You get angry messages. Why didn't you set me up with so-and-so? You get frustrated emails from parents. How could you blah, 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 fill in the blank. And there are a lot of moving parts and it is very organic. It's not, me personally, I like systems. So I have taken the art of matchmaking and turned it into a structured, organized system. Here's what we do. We have a coffee date. We meet the person. We get to know them as a matchmaker. We take notes. We have a profile. We put them in a database, whatever the system is. Great. Next steps. I let you know. I am going to be thinking about you. I'm going to see if there's any matches for you. I'll look right now to see if anything. If there's not, I'll be in touch with you within the next 3 to 4 weeks because there's a cycle to matchmaking, which is I am constantly meeting people and networking. And if I don't know anybody for you today, either I'll know somebody for you in the next couple weeks or months, or maybe I'll have another matchmaker friend. Maybe she'll know somebody. The best matchmaker is the one who puts you with the right people. And maybe I'm not the one to set you up, but maybe I know who to set you up with to set you up. And then you have to guide them through the process. And when a couple is dating, it's no longer about matchmaking. Now it's about coaching. Now it's about supporting them. Are our values in alignment? Do our personalities match? Are our families going to get along? Do we have the skills and resources to make this thing go from like, yay, to like, mazel tov, right? That's the big question. And we have the ability to do that, but sometimes things really, really need handholding. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I did speak to your wife before. She's in my phone.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to her. But people get support in the process. And sometimes they come with a question. I speak to people, sometimes one coaching session, and they're like, nope, got it. Like, thank you. Answer the question. Either I stay together or I break up, but I feel good about it either way because it was the right decision. And sometimes I hold somebody's hand through the whole entire process. And one time I went to a wedding, not for the sake of like mazel tov, I went to a wedding because she said, if you don't come, I don't know if I'm getting down the aisle. So I showed up.
Where are they now?
And I want to. They're married. They have, I think, 3 or 4 kids and they made it. But she had a lot of anxiety and the whole process was very hard for her. It was extremely, extremely stressful. And she's like, I need you there. And so when you take that intimate of a role in somebody's life and they say, hold my hand, it's not because I'm scared I'm doing something wrong. It's because I'm scared and it's hard to do the thing that's right.
1,000%. It's crazy because that description of matchmaking, there's so many pieces that are moving. And the crazy thing is like, it's your job now.
It is.
But there's no like university for matchmaking, right?
Okay, so I'm going to say this, and nobody's taking it because it's mine. I claimed it out there. I worked on something with Rabbi Yisrael Bernath, who is known as the Love Rabbi, and we came up with this concept called Match U, as in Match University.
Wow.
Okay, and so we're in the process of building the back end of all of the training of what to do and how to do it. So either if you're single, you can take it and learn for yourself, or if you're not single and you want to help your friends or family members, you can take it and learn as well.
That is awesome. And, but now that obviously that's in the works, but fast forwarding, or backtracking, even 15, 20 years ago, when you started getting into matchmaking, you like, how did you start? Like, who was guiding you? Were you like, oh, I'll figure this out as I go? Did you like take me through the beginning stages of it?
So the beginning stages, a friend of mine said to me, Aleeza, I'm working on this matchmaking site. You make matches and it's a volunteer thing. Do you want to join? And I was like, yeah, I'm looking for something in my life. I need to do something. I have young kids at home and I need some adult conversations. She's like, yeah, it's great. It's wonderful. So I got online and started out as an online matchmaker. That's with Saw You at Sinai, which is one of the largest Jewish databases in the world. And through that, I just kind of learned the ropes. And the ropes were just set people up, which was like paper, resume, so to speak, but computer, match. And I was like, that's not enough. So I used to call people, hey, I'm Aleeza. I just want to know, let me get to know you. Here's a little bit about me. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, it wasn't like normal to like really schmooze and connect. It was like, no, just send the match. If you have a match. I said, I have an idea. I didn't say it was a good idea, right? I don't know if it's a good idea. I don't really know you. And if it's not a good idea, maybe I'm going to have somebody else for you. So let's just have a conversation. And then I told them who I am and how passionate I am. And they're like, ooh, and you have good advice. Can I call you if I have some dating questions? So it started out very organically. I remember one time asking one of my, the men that I was working with, and I was like, listen, if I was doing this like as a business, right? And not just as like a volunteer thing, like if I was coaching or I charged for things like that, would you pay for it? He's like, well, you give really good advice. I'm just cheap. And I was like, okay. Fine. You might not be my perfect client, but there is something here. And I got to a point in my life where I needed to get a job. We were having more kids, we had more expenses, and we needed more income. And I was like, I have a job. I'm a matchmaker. And my husband's like, great. We just need a job that pays the bills. And I was like, no, matchmaking kind of doesn't work that way. It's like you pay when you get engaged. He's like, okay, so like get a job and do that on the side. And I was like, no, I don't want to do anything else. This is the most important thing in the world. He's like, okay, so figure it out and build a business. And it was from that place of struggle and needing to do something that I was like, this can't just be volunteer. If I don't take this seriously and hyper focus on it and dedicate my life to it, then it's not going to help people in the best way possible. And I don't want to just get a job. Like, why can't this be my job? But it's not normal for matchmaking to be somebody's job. Like every time I fly into a country and they're like, okay, name, what do you do? And I'm like, matchmaker. And they're like, what? Hey, guy in booth 2, he needs your help. Like they don't know what to do with me. It's not normal to be a matchmaker. There's not really so many of us in the world. There's probably, I would say professionally, not just Jewish, non-Jewish, everybody, a couple thousand. Like maybe there's only 2,000-3,000 people that are doing this, and full-time and hyper professionally, much less than that.
When you started, as you said, your husband said, okay, make a plan, turn it to a business.
Yeah.
When you started, did you ever have points where you're like, okay, I don't know if this is going to work, or was it like, I'm running and like, this is going somewhere?
My question was, how is this going to work? Like for me, once I make a decision, I usually know it is going to work. I'm just not sure if road A, B, C, D is going to work, and I need a plan. So in the very beginning, I hired a business coach, and I said, I have this chesed that I do for the world, but I need to turn it into a parnasa. I need to turn this kindness into something that I can build a business and a life around, because I want to hyper focus on it and only do this. And she said, great, here's what we're going to do. And she literally mapped out, here's how you're going to get your first 5 clients. And I said to her, I don't even have money to pay you to actually get those clients. She goes, no problem. You're going to owe me this much, and you're going to charge your clients this much. And after you have those clients, you will have the money to pay me. That's how she set it up. And it worked. And that's how I got my first 5 clients. And those 5 clients recommended me. And then I got 10 clients. And then I had 20 clients. And then it just kept going. And then I was like, oh gosh, I need more people. So then I started to train coaches. I was like, other people, this came from my singles. My singles were like, Aleeza, you do things differently. You're kinder, you listen more to what we want, you're non-judgmental, like you just accept me for who I am. And I feel like I can tell you things that I don't want to tell anybody else, because they're not going to treat me so well. They're going to tell me, take off your glasses and put on your makeup, and you don't have a good job, and fix yourself, you're broken. And you don't handle people like that. And somehow you still get them married. So could you please train people? And I was like, yeah, but I don't know that they want my training, So I started with people who were interested in that. And it went from coaching singles to coaching coaches and training matchmakers. And from that, it started to just evolve and eventually snowball.
So now that once you start training people, what does it look like now? Like how many people are part of your team, and what goes into that?
So I'll give you like the whole
rundown.
growth. Yeah, because there's a waxing and waning and a growing and a shrinking of a business that happens over time. So I started to bring coaches onto my team. And at a certain point I had, besides myself, about 5 other coaches that were working with me. So 5 other coaches is a lot. You have to bring a lot of business in. It's business to cover you and 5 coaches, that there are people there that want to work with them. So now you're not really a matchmaker. You're really somebody who does marketing. And it was a lot of pressure, and it was very frustrating because people don't want coaching. People want a match. That's it. I'm fine. I am who I am. I'm as good as I'm going to get today. Just find the person for me. I've talked, I've done coaching, I've done courses, I've done classes. I have 10 mentors. I don't need another one. I just want to match. And fighting that uphill battle was something that I always did. I'll just like fast forward with those coaches. We were like eking along to try to bring in business, and it wasn't ever like thriving. It was like, I was never satisfied. It was very frustrating. And the show came out, I filmed in 2022 and it came out in 2023. And all of a sudden I am the Jewish matchmaker, not a coach.
I have to cut you off though. When you say the show, now the perfect transition into, for some people that might be listening to this, are like, what show are you talking about? First of all, the Netflix show, Jewish Matchmaker, how that happened, obviously take us through the rundown and then go from there. Okay.
So Jewish Matchmaking was a show that was in design to be produced because there was a show called Indian Matchmaking. IPC is a production company that is now bought out by Sony, that Netflix said, great, Indian Matchmaking, this is good. They threw it out there 2020. They're like, wow, it's amazing. Indian Matchmaking did season 1, then they did season 2 and 3. And IPC said, we have actually a brand. So let's do Jewish Matchmaking. Let's do a spinoff, a sister show. And they said, okay, find us a matchmaker and then we'll consider doing the show. And they went on the hunt for a matchmaker in the summer of 2020, right? The summer of 2020 was like COVID hit in March. I decide that we're making Aliyah in the end of June, beginning of July. I send my kids off to Israel, October, my 2 big kids, to go live in Israel and start their high school program. And meantime, in the summer, somewhere in that time period, I am interviewing for this show. Right.
How they find you and how do you find them?
I found that, well, it's a matchmaker.
There you go.
Got to give a shout out to Lori Young. She's known as the Seattle Shadchan. And they interviewed her and a whole bunch of my other girlfriends. And at the end of it, she's like, listen, you don't want me and I don't want to do this. I'm not interested in flying around the world. I'm not like, this isn't my gig. But I've been working with Aleeza and we had been doing matchmaker trainings for months. And she said, she's great on camera. She's quick on the spot. She'll always have an answer. You're going to like her. And she gave casting my number. And that's how I got the call. It was only because of her. They didn't call me on their own. It's not like they researched and they found my website and they saw all my articles. And they saw everything I was doing in the world. Literally because they wanted to interview my friend and she didn't want the job. That's how it got thrown to somebody else.
And then once you got interviewed, did you have any like hesitations? Because obviously you're a religious woman and it's not a typical thing that a religious woman's the star of a Netflix show. So what was that like? Did you ever have any hesitations going into it? Take me through that.
Yeah, massive amounts of hesitations because not just being an Orthodox woman, but because of the kind of content that Netflix produces, which is not always kind to the Jewish people and not always a positive representation. I didn't want my own reputation to be bad. I didn't want my kids to have a problem in shidduchim. If I'm being honest, matchmaking is hard enough. And I didn't want to ruin the Jewish people. So I was having a lot of anxiety and I'm not an anxiety human. Like some people, like they're built like that. I'm not built like that. And when something's going on for me, I'm like, I need a sign and not to be like, Abraham and Eliezer, find me a wife for my son and at the well and Rivka and a whole thing with camels, right? Not to take us back to Bible times, but I really did ask God for a sign. Like I need to know I'm not signing a contract with Netflix. I'm signing a contract with you. I want to know that you are the producer behind this and that what I do will not be ruined because literally you can cut and paste things together. So I can be laughing with you or I could be laughing at you. Okay. In a second, all they have to do is paste the clip together the right way. That's not cut in time. I'm no longer who I am. And it's a massive issue. So I said to God, listen, I need a sign. I need some confirmation. I don't just need, and I did ask my rabbis, my mentors, should I do this? Could I do this? How could I do this? And I spoke also to my lawyer who was going through the contract, and he's like, listen, everything in the contract basically says they can do anything. Like they can, cut and paste and they can ruin you. And they say right here, just sign here and allow us to do that. He said, and this is as good as the contract gets. We already went through rounds and rounds. And I was like, okay. So we make Aliyah finally March 1st of 2021, and we arrive in Israel. We're in quarantine, and we get out of quarantine. We're in Jerusalem, the first place you go, to the kotel. We're standing at the kotel, davening, praying. I'm crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got here. 5 kids, a husband, a pandemic puppy. By the way, we got a dog.
Wow.
Because we needed more stress in our lives. And like my dream came true. I'm here. I made Aliyah. It's no longer a dream. This thing that I was like chasing and running after, it actually happened. Oh my gosh, bawling my eyes out. I finish and I am like backing away from the kotel, and my phone starts buzzing. I think it's my husband and my boys on the other side. And I look and it's like, hey, you coming to the meeting? All the producers are here. We're waiting for you. And I was like, wait, what? There was like, we're supposed to have a meeting, like another follow-up interview, something. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, I like put myself on the side of the hotel. I sit down and I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm late for a meeting. I was talking to God and not you. And they're like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry to disturb your blessings and prayers. I was like, no, good. We're good. We wrapped. We're good. And they're like, well, then I guess this is the best place to tell you that we picked you. We're ready to move forward. We're sending you a contract. And like, yeah, this is it. It's like show is greenlit. We're ready to go. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to praying. It was such a moment. It was like, that's what I needed. I wanted, God's signature on this, saying, I'm behind this. I am the producer behind everything in the world. You don't have to worry. And yeah, you're signing a crazy contract that gives you nothing. It just says, it's just terrible. And the show, what it is now, and you can see it on Netflix, Jewish Matchmaking, what it is not what it was. It went through many rounds of editing. We brought in a frum religious Jewish producer to verify like the Jewish authenticity of it. And she worked really hard to make sure that it was in alignment with speaking appropriately, not speak like the best that we can. And really the point that we got to, this was the best that we could get to. I'm sure there's things that people want to criticize that are in there and then, but you see all different types of Jewish people from all different backgrounds, from all different locations, from all different religious connections or not. And like, I have people that never dated a Jew before and they're like, yeah, cool. You could set me up. Like we really did something that nobody had done on TV before. That
is wild. And it's if people follow the timeline, what's crazy is that you moved to Israel. And right when you moved, you get the contract from them.
Which is nuts because I had to travel. A year after Aliyah, I was traveling. So we make Aliyah March 1st of 2021. By February of 2022, I started flying. So I left and I was out of the country for 3 weeks. The teachers are messaging me, we don't understand, why does a matchmaker actually need to fly to America? And why are you there for 3 weeks? Like it was like so bizarre. And then I'd fly back to Israel for 3 weeks. Then they'd film in Israel. Then I'd fly back to America. Then they come back to Israel. Then it was from February until August of 2022 that we filmed. And then it's like, you're done. Okay. So, and my business, by the way, just business wise, everything went on kind of pause / just cruise control. And in business, my father taught me this lesson. You're either going up or you're going down. Cruise control means you're going down. There is no cruise control in business. You are either building and growing or you are not. And my business started to go down because I wasn't putting any time and effort into it because I was trying to find matches for people on a show and figure out how to be on a show. And when you have a mic on you all the time, so anything they say before they're rolling, they're filming, they're rolling. They're always rolling.
Really?
If once the mic goes on, you are on, you can consider that anything that they film can and will be used maybe against you. Now, they did an incredible job of really authentically representing me as who I am. A lot of people say like, oh my gosh, I feel like I know you, but I don't know you. I'm like, You do. Actually, you do. They did an outstanding job of making me. And really, they're like, oh, but you're not really like that. You're not really that, non-judgmental, accepting and just loving of everybody. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. My mom raised me like that. It's just what it is. I saw really incredible role models throughout my lifetime. My in-laws are married 65 years. Like it's not normal to see a relationship like that grow over time. And I do love people, and I just accept where they're at. Like, you're religious, good for you. You're secular, good for you. You want to live in Israel, good for you. You want to live somewhere else, good for you. Like, figure out who you are, and now let's match you according to what we know about you.
It's crazy because the character trait that you have of like, okay, you go with the flow and like you live your life and you let other people, live their life and be so accepting. Like, it's hard sometimes, obviously, as a person to live that way, but it's really respectable. And there's other aspects of the show which I'm sure people are curious, like myself, to hear about. Of you're traveling around America, you're leaving your family. Yeah. Like, what was that like? Of what cities were you in? How did they help accommodate for you? I know when we spoke before, you said they were really accommodating in terms of where you stayed, what pots they gave you, all those types of things. Like, what was that logistical part like for you?
So leaving the family was hard. It was something that I had never really done. Like, I was a mommy. I was a carrier baby in a baby carrier, sleep in the bed, snuggling next to you kind of mommy. And to go on the road for 2 to 3 weeks at a time was like, what? Like, I was spending Shabbos alone. I don't know that I ever spent Shabbos alone in my life. So I started inviting people from the show. One producer was Jewish on set with us, and anybody who was in the city, wherever we were, I was like, hey, I'm hosting Shabbos. And they're like, what do you mean you're hosting Shabbos? I'm like, well, listen, I told them I don't want a hotel room. They gave me an Airbnb instead. I have the Aleeza clothing suitcases, and then I have the Aleeza pots and pans suitcases. They bought me pots and pans. I toiveled them. I koshered everything in whatever kitchen I went to, and I literally had a third suitcase that was the Aleeza food suitcase. And then I would make Shabbos dinner, and I just like order food, because I told them also, like, I don't roll on Shabbos. So, and also Fridays. I was like, it's not good for me to be filming on Fridays, because then I got to figure out what to do in random cities. So I was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Like, you had Chabad and maybe like just random supermarkets, but no kosher markets. It was in LA. That was like, plenty to do there. I was in Chicago, New York, St. Louis, Miami, and where else? And in Israel, we were in Tel Aviv, Yerushalayim. It was just like all over. It was a dream come true. So I also have to like lay out the foundation. I love to travel, and I'm very happy to travel alone. That doesn't bother me at all. I like quiet. I live with lots of humans. So this like dream of mine to travel the world, I was like, listen, Aleeza, I'm doing my own self-talk. You got married, you picked a family, like you didn't pick a life on the road, and like that's what it is. And this is, like that's how my marriage went. And I made Aliyah, and 18 years later we arrive here, 19 years and 20 years, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I have not been home for longer than about 8 weeks at a time for the last 4 years, which is not normal. Like, in the beginning, the traveling was, as I told you. The year after that, once the show came out and people were like, whew, I was doing live matchmaking shows and trainings and coachings and working with groups and nonprofits. And I was on the road every 3 to 6 weeks. I left the house. So I unpacked, I washed, and then I just repacked a suitcase. And then I had my travel suitcase with my travel clothing. And then I had my everything else.
What's crazy is that on the road for you, it's not like you're based in New York and, I'm jumping on a flight to go to Miami. It's your minimum flying 12 hours probably, no?
Okay, it's not just that. So for 2.5 years, I not just got on a flight from Tel Aviv to somewhere. You're going to New York or Newark, you're going to Miami, you're going to LA, unless you're going to like Europe and London. So I would go to the States, and then I would have shows back to back. So I would have sometimes 6, 7, 8, 9 shows that I would do back to back. So I would land in New York and do a show that night. And then they'd fly me to Toronto, and the next day, right? Sunday night, I do that. Monday morning, I fly. Monday night, I do a program in Toronto. Tuesday, I'm in St. Louis. Tuesday night, I fly, or whatever. The next morning, I fly. Like that, 8 days. Well, then Shabbos, you take a break. Yay! And then I do it again. And then the next week, Wednesday, I do my final show. Thursday, I fly home. Friday, I arrive. And then it is Shabbos at home. So I am on the road for 2 straight weeks. My husband and I made a decision after the first year of travel that being away for 1 Shabbos is doable. Being away for 2 Shabbos is owie. And being away for 3 Shabbos is a no-no. So really, I try to keep it to 1 Shabbos, and I'm always conscious of that now. So if I leave on a Saturday night and I go a whole week and then the next week I could come back before Shabbos. I could squeeze 2 full weeks of work in, but I like literally a new hotel, a new place every single night. And it was really bizarre. But I'm going to tell you a blessing. Can I give you because there's always a blessing in the crazy. So the war broke out in October 7th, so in 2023. And everything here in Israel kind of shut down. Nobody knew what was going on. My kids at boarding school came home and it was kind of like, well, we don't know when school's starting up. Any kids that could get out flew home to wherever they were from because their schools were from, the kids were from all over the world. And I was like, I don't know what to do. It was my daughter's senior year and she wanted to be an auto mechanic. She is an auto mechanic. Wow. And I was like, okay, listen, you already know what you want to do. How about if we fly you to America? I don't know if there's going to even be a senior year. I don't even know what's happening. You'll get into this school. You'll get a degree. You'll do what you want to do, get your GED, do whatever you need. And then you'll come back and then you'll do the Army. And we made a plan and she flew out a month after. She signed up, she got into this school. She did a full year of this auto mechanic school, got a degree, came back and came to the Army. And I was like, here, I'm an auto mechanic. I want to work on cars. And they're like, well, you guys are Olim. You don't really have enough Hebrew. She goes, you don't need Hebrew to fix a car. I can do this. And she used her skill set to do that. But what was amazing was that the time that she was in America, every time I flew, we scheduled Shabbos to be around Philadelphia and I would go see her. And so having her away for a whole year, I would have thought maybe I'd get to see her once in that year. I got to see her about every 6 weeks. Such an incredible blessing from a travel crazy situation that led to oh, that was perfect. And I would have never seen her that much.
That is wild. And it's if people are picking up on a commonality of what you're saying is you went through the show, you filmed it, it came out, and then you're beyond busy, traveling every 6 weeks, this and that. When the show first came out, what was the talk from the community? What was that like for you now that all this work is finally out there? And did you feel happy with the end product?
So I was very happy with the end product, although I didn't see the final thing until it released on May 3rd. When it came out, that was when everybody else saw it. That was the first time that I saw the fully edited series. And I was really happy. I was really proud. I knew that they did something beautiful for the Jewish people that hadn't been done. And it's been incredible. I just here coming to the studio today, I was on the street grabbing a smoothie before I came in and she's like, oh my gosh. And then she was so nervous to say hello and we schmoozed for a minute, but I get love from all over. I've met people in New York City. They're like, oh my gosh, you're the Jewish matchmaker. I'm not even Jewish, but I love your show and it's so good. And you have some really good advice. I told my friends about it. I gave them dating advice. So it feels really good. And thank God, it's been a blessing. Thank God.
And you know what's awesome is that, as you just pointed out, when you're in the street, let's say New York City, and you have somebody that's not in the Jewish community that comes over to you and is recognizing you, it's really cool that they're paying attention and they're seeing. And what's interesting is when we were speaking a few days ago before this podcast, you said that something cool that you're working on, I want you to touch on it now, is that you're working on an interesting project outside of the Jewish community in relation to matchmaking. Could you take me and everybody through that a little bit?
Okay. So Jewish matchmaking is my area of expertise, but matchmaking itself is my area of expertise. And I have been working with the religious Christian community to say, you guys don't have a history of matchmaking. This is not your thing. And what if I brought matchmaking to you? Now, I don't have a database, so I don't have a whole group of people for you, but we can do online speed dating. So I am combining, with Ian from Date Night and Corona Crush to create a massive online speed dating event for Christians. And now we're facing some of the same challenges that we faced with Jewish people. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know all the denominations. We gotta make smart matches. And if we're gonna make smart matches, let's at least label them how we're supposed to label them. So I have Christian friends that are aware, they know everything that I'm doing. And I'm like, listen, I need your help. Give me the list. Judaism, we've got Reform, Orthodox, Conservative, Haredi, Modern Orthodox, Light, Dati, the list goes on. I'm like, and so she started to give me a running list, which was I think longer than the Jewish list. And I was like, oh gosh, well, okay. Okay, I'm like, I was like, I don't know so much about this, but I know about matchmaking. And so we are going to try to bring together hundreds of Christians to meet each other online. And I think that faith-based matchmaking is the same. We have communities. People want people to stay involved with their communities. They want to stay connected. They want families to be aligned. They want to be able to raise a family in the same way. So we all have the same principles. It's just a different community. We're supposed to be an Or LaGoyim, a light unto the nations. And I also feel like there's a give back. The Christian community, I don't know how much you know and how much the listeners know, but they do a tremendous amount for supporting the Jewish people. They fight anti-Semitism. They support Israel. Non-stop, the Christians are supporting the Jewish community. So great. What can we do for them as well? Not just like you did for me, I do for you, but like, thank you. Thank you for helping me, and let me help you help your community as well.
It's amazing because you have a skill set, and it's like, it's not that your skill set is specifically, limited to the Jewish community. It's like, let's go out and do something.
Totally transferable, and specifically faith-based more than anything else. It makes sense. So like Hindu or, Indian, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, like it's similar. We all have these faiths that we are tied to and these community values, and we just want to bring people together.
It's awesome. And it's like, it's crazy because everything that you're doing, you're obviously a very busy person. And what also I think is something that's really cool is that when we were speaking before also, is you mentioned to me that President Herzog has a very special thing going on. And I want you to touch on about that, of the 150 most influential people, Jews. You'll correct me, take me through that of what you're working on with President Herzog.
So he started something called Voice of the People and brought together 150 leaders from around the world, 50 from Israel, 50 from America, and 50 from everywhere else. And he said, we need to have an infrastructure to support the future of the Jewish people and to build that out. What are the top 5 issues that we are facing, and how can we as a community address that? And he brought these leaders together. And it's a 2-year cohort. We started last year. We have 1 more year left. And then there's a new cohort, I think that they're going to be bringing in. And we are specifically working on Israel and world Jewry and like kind of like connecting the diaspora in Israel. That's my group's focus. Some groups focus on anti-Semitism, polarization. There's all different focuses, and it's intense. There's a lot of different Jewish people. Like if you could imagine bringing the most diverse group of Jewish people from across the globe, they have to all speak English so that we can all have one language, but we are unified by who we are as a people, but in every other way, we are so different. And it's been this like challenge. How do we work together for the greatest good to help the Jewish people?
That's really, really special. And the fact that you have the time to even do that, like that brings me to my next thought of like, you do so much. If people are paying attention to this, it's wild. You're a mom of 5, Jewish matchmaker, now semi-Christian matchmaker, and doing and you have more probably. You have a book too. How do you balance everything? Like, how do you do it?
So at a certain point, I had a business coach that I was working with, and I was like, I don't need a coach. I don't need somebody to tell me what to do. I actually need to tell somebody what to do. Like I have all the concepts in my head. Not that I can't be coached, not that I don't want support. I always am open to that, but I actually need a doer. So I hired somebody to be like my assistant, and she started basically taking my brain dump and organizing it and making my checklists and then checking in on me every single day. Aleeza, here's what's important for today. Can we push this off till next week? And started moving with that. I did the same thing in my business life. So that was personally to align everything. Professionally, I had somebody do that, and I'd be like, we're doing a course. We are doing something called 40 Days of Connection, and we need to roll this out. Okay, well, what's the course? Okay. And I would give her a brain dump, and then she would create the course and the content and the creativity and the design and everything. So shifting from Aleeza doing everything, which is how the whole business started out, to I can't do it all. I want to do a lot. And if I have a team, I can do it all. So I shifted. And then also there's certain priorities. Like we just knocked 2 things off my list, and I was like, not 2026. We'll reevaluate in 2027. We literally just moved it to the next calendar year. And people might be thinking like, we're already at the beginning of this year. What do you mean? I was like, no. My year, I already have travel that's planned out all the way through the holidays, the Jewish holidays. I don't have November, December planned out yet. But other than that, I'm already at 2027. Like everything in my head that's planned for 2026, like it's going to happen. Will it succeed? Will it fail? I don't know, but it's going to happen. And then I need to like already move on to like, what do I have time to plan? So, confidentially to you and all of your listeners, I'm working on a movie because I think there should be a movie that educates, not a reality show, like just more entertainment with reality of, soulmates and how these things work. And I have like another handful of projects that your head would spin. So I won't even tell you because people tell me all the time, they're like, you can't do that. And my answer is no, you can't do that. Me? Don't tell me what I can do. Don't challenge me. It'll make me take on more.
Shoot for the sky, and it's also, it's like you take on a lot, but the most important thing for people to realize is that you learn how to delegate. And once you learn how to delegate.
It's the best. And I don't micromanage people. Like if I hand it off, I handed it off. And like, I trust that the people I hired are going to get it done. Like, not a problem. You got this. And maybe sometimes I'll check in. Okay, when is it done? Give me the update. Are we on to the next thing? So I can just give you the next download of the latest and greatest Aleeza idea. But delegation is really key, and just don't be type A. Like, it's just not worth it. Sometimes you need to get it done and done well enough, and it won't ever be perfect. It'll be just perfectly imperfect. And then you move on to something else, and some things hit. We did, before I moved here, we did webinars for a year. And that was one of the things during COVID that started to pop. We're just offering free webinars to support people and help them. And we would make flyers every week. You had to make a flyer of like, what is it called this week? And how are we going to attract people in? And out of, 50 flyers, 10, wow, it was like, yes, that was really good marketing. And then like 10 were like, good, that's good. And like 30 were good enough. Like, that's it. I just keep going because you're not going to hit the nail on the head every time. You're not. And if you want to, and if you expect that, you're just going to do less in life and you're going to succeed less. Like, failing is fabulous because that means you tried and you learned something and then you refined it and then you tried again and then you nailed it.
1,000%. It's like what they say, the more darts you throw at a dartboard, the higher chance you hit the bullseye. It's just, it's shooting your shot and do things. And another thing I want you to touch on, because I'm sure people are fascinated by this conversation, and as I am, is that you have a book. Talk about that a little bit.
I didn't bring it to show you. I know.
I was thinking, it must be in your bag or something, but maybe
it normally is. I totally forgot.
We'll put a link in the description, but talk about that. What were you thinking in your mind of like, I want to write a book, and what is it about?
Okay. So first of all, I have to take you back. I have a degree in interdisciplinary studies, which means I designed my own major, which means I had no clue what I wanted to be when I grew up. And what I did know is that I always wanted to write a book. I have a friend from my teens who followed up with me and is like, oh my gosh, you always said you wanted to write a book. You did it. You actually, I also wanted to write a book, but I didn't do it, but you actually did it. So I had this dream to write a book. I thought I was going to write a children's book because I love children's literature, education. It just was really important to me. And one day, please God, I will. Say amen.
Amen. In 2028 and a half,
okay, fine. I can handle that. I'm too busy before then anyway. Yeah, I'm too busy before then anyway. Anyway, I thought I was going to, write a children's book. And then I decided, you know what? This is my industry. This is my field. Somebody said to me, Aleeza, if you put your thinking in a book and people read it and they like it, then they'll know if they want to work with you. And that is the single best way to gain credibility and go from a nobody to somebody knows about you. So he said, just do a brain dump. What do you know today? And in my head, I thought, if I never write another book, what does somebody have to know? And that's how I wrote my first book, which was called Get Real, Get Married. Then during COVID, I wrote a second book called Virtual Dating. And the latest book that came out after the show is called Matchmaker, Find Me a Love That Lasts. And when I wrote this book, I was like, okay, what's not in the other books? And what is also the newest information that the world needs to know? And if you had this information, you don't need a dating coach. You don't need a matchmaker. You take my brain. Here it is. It's in a book. This is the playbook. Follow this. It works for lots of people. And you don't need to spend lots of time and lots of money fixing yourself. For a lot of people, you're not broken. You're just doing it wrong, but you're not wrong. The system that you're trying to do and use is wrong. And we fix that. And it's not even complicated. You want an example?
Give me one.
This is one of my favorites that people balk about. And secular, religious, I don't care, what your background is. It works for everybody. And men like it even more than women. No touching for 5 dates. Okay, there's a Jewish custom not to touch, Shomer Negia, we guard our touch, and I talked a little bit about it on the show. And the formula is 5 dates, because who's going out with somebody for 5 dates that they don't like? You're going to dump them by date 2 or 3. Like if you get to date 5, we know I like you. We know you like me. And we know there's no questions about that because we didn't touch. So I'm not in this because I'm confused about how I feel with you or what I think about you. There's no confusion. So it fast tracks a relationship. It tells us a lot of information and says there's amazing potential here. And basically, it saves hours of therapy and it also saves you on dates. Like men sometimes will come to me and they'll be like, well, we've been dating for like 9 months. And I'm like, and you don't know? They're like, I'm still not sure. I'm like, what? What aren't you sure? What don't you know in 9 months? You have spent 9 months. You have a lot of data and information. They're like, well, I'm just not sure what I think or how I feel. Okay, that's because your brain is confused, right? Take physical touch. How long are you sticking around if you don't actually like the human? And if you do like them, all the men tell me, they're like, I'd do a 10-date challenge. I'd do a 20-date challenge. He's like, I'd wait until it doesn't matter to me. It's actually irrelevant if I like her. And women don't know this. They don't realize this. And I think it's a massive issue.
That's a perfect plug for your book. And if anybody wants to check it out, I'll put all the links in the description. The next question I have for you, and with everything that we've discussed today, your story is phenomenal and inspiring. And for people that, want to see more of your stuff, obviously they got to watch your shows and everything and your books and stuff like that. The last question is, with everything we've discussed today, this answer could be related to that or separate, is that if whoever's listening to this podcast, whatever stage you're at in life, if you had one message that was like, keep this message with you and your podcast for the rest of your life to everybody, what would that be? Throwing this one on you.
Okay, hold on. Let's sit for 1 second here. What would my advice be for anybody? I think the best advice is figure out who you are. Know yourself really intimate, really, really well. Like be so clear, and then take whatever that energy is and put it back into the world, but in the right way. If you need to work, you work. If you need to volunteer, volunteer. If you need to be with your family, fine. If you need to find a family and build a family, fine. But what is it that you have to offer to the world? Who are you? And then just go do that thing and stop trying to do everything and stop trying to do what everybody thinks you should do. Like one of my kids was playing guitar and he was really good. And he's like, yeah, but I don't want to do it. Like, I don't love it. I don't like it. Like just because I'm good at it doesn't mean I like it. And I was like, right, good point. So then another kid picked up guitar and he likes it and he's good at it also. So he's going to run with it where the other one is not. Don't just run with something because you're good at it. Make sure you like it, because that moment of joy, that spark, that thing that exists, you get to live day in and day out with that. So why just do what you need to do to get by when you could do what you love to do and thrive? It's very frustrating and sad not to live your fullest, like most fully developed life. And a lot of people give an answer because I don't know what I want to do, or I don't know what I want to be, or I don't know what's the most important thing. There's a lot of things that are important. It's one of the things I stress with my kids. I keep telling them, figure out, you're going to find your person, because we have rules about that. And they all tell me, they're like, yeah, I'll try on my own, but if I can't, so you could help me, I'm not worried. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I gave you so much confidence. You shouldn't be so confident. But figure out what you want to do, because we spend the most time with our family and at work. So what are those things that you're going to be doing, and where do you want to put those efforts, and what's going to bring you joy? And that's what's going to shine. Like that's going to be your golden ticket.
Phenomenal advice. It's the perfect plug for YOLO. You only live once. Find your passion, and you want to have it that you wake up every single day jumping out of bed. And what's so interesting about your story, and obviously as we come to a close on this, is that you were at a stage in your life where you had to figure out, okay, obviously what do you want to do? You found your passion and you made it work. And look what you've turned into today. It's really inspiring for people, and it's really amazing. If you want to see the next follow-up question, subscribe to themoralledge.com. Stay tuned for this. The follow-up now, this is the special bonus content for everybody, is that listening to this episode, if somebody got to this point, they understand you are the pro, the Jewish matchmaker, and now also Christian matchmaker a little bit too. Is that
I don't know that I want that title, but I will support finding the person who earns that title.
There you go. So even so, you have a lot of experience, and people understand that. And what's so interesting is that your job, as much as that's your full-time passion, is that people in their own right could be their own version of a matchmaker. They could see a friend and be like, oh, I know this guy, I know this girl, let's set them up. So for somebody that's listening to this, whatever denomination, Jewish, not Jewish, and they want to begin to kind of be their own version of like my own matchmaker, and try to begin to think of other people and try to see how they can set people up, what would be your advice for people to start out to kind of make sure they're level-headed, going about it the right way?
Okay, first of all, I love this question because I have this whole thing about anyone can make a match. And I think everyone should make a match. And I think that everyone is obligated to make a match, because people come to me like, oh, Aleeza, you'll save me. You'll find my person. And I'm like, no. Too much responsibility on one human's shoulders. I want you to make a match. So the way to get into it is really just to test the waters first, right? Like, just look around, like what makes a good match? Who do you know who's married? Who has a good, healthy marriage? Please God, happy marriage. Who are the role models you have in your life? First, assess the situation, and then take a look around and go, who do I know who's single? And is there anybody that would match? First of all, choose the easier humans to work with, okay? So there's like 3 kinds of daters in the world. I'm going to give you the mini, this is actually really like bonus.
There you go.
Okay, 3 kinds of daters, and it's a little bit of a bell curve, okay? There's like I daters, we daters, and you daters, okay? The I daters, I think there's 15% of people in the world, they're very picky. They know exactly what they want. They will tell you exactly what they want. They don't want anything but what they want. And if you give them anything else, you're the problem, not them. You know that kind of person? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everybody thinks everybody's like that. Really, I think it's a small percentage, 15% of the world. The you daters, which is the other 15%, it's like you want to set them up and you're like, oh, do you want to go out with this person? They're like, sure, yeah. How about this one? Yeah, you. They'll go out with you and you and you and you. They're very open. You know those kind of people? Like they just say yes because they say you never know, right? The I daters are like, oh, I know. The you daters are like, you never know. And then 70% of the we daters, they are the like, ooh, I don't know. You know, like, do you want to go out? I don't know. What do you think of this match? I don't know. How was the date? I don't know. We're on the date. What do you mean you don't know? I'm not sure. What do you think? What do I think? I think I wasn't there. I want to know what you think. And a lot of people are these like in between analysis paralysis, head, heart thinking, trying to figure out what this is. And they literally don't know. So my best advice, start with the you daters, start with the people that like to say yes. You'll be able to get them on dates. You'll be able to move through it. And they organically, they feel whether something works or not. If you work with the I daters, just don't get angry at them. They are who they are. Either don't try to change them. Like the I daters, we just leave. I want a certain look. I want a certain style. Their hair should be straight. It shouldn't be curly. Their eyes should be blue. They shouldn't be green. Like they know what they want. Fine. Either find that or don't set them up and just say, yeah, I know what you're looking for. I don't have anybody who's relevant. If I come across them, I'll let you know. And then the we daters, you have to hold their hands. So you can't just match them and put them together. You have to say, I have an idea for you. And with everybody, here's 3 reasons why I think this idea would match. Give them 3 reasons. You have come from a similar background. You have a similar type friend circles. And I don't know, you guys, you have a vibe, a certain energy, kind of has a match. Like you remind me of each other. That's 3 decent reasons I'm interested in going out. Do not say, just go for a cup of coffee. You figure it out. No, it's not appropriate. You have to make a smart match, not just any match. So that's the basic way that I would lean into this and start testing out the matchmaking. And then with the we daters, the ones that I don't know, you have to hold their hand. They don't know. And that's why I created the when in doubt, go out. If it's not a no, it's a go, or date them till you hate them. But please don't misunderstand me. Do not ever hate anybody. It's just a friendly way of saying give your eyes a little bit longer to catch up to your heart and your brain and just keep going out. Like if it's not a no, it's a go. Just keep going out.
1,000%. First of all, that was a great breakdown of, the 3 specific types of people. And I definitely am thinking of people in my mind that fit every category. The last question I kind of want to ask you, and then obviously I want you to touch on what you're doing with World Mizrahi and in the Jewish world. But I've heard a line, I think it was from Hanala, who also works on the Moral Edge, that said, rejection is protection. So for someone that's listening to this, that might be going through a tough time in their life, in anything, dating, aside from that, touch on that a little bit and speak that out.
So she and I are on the same page. One of the chapters in my book is rejection is God's protection. That's in Matchmaker. And I believe it's not just protection, it's God's protection. And the reason I'm saying this, and whether you're faith-based and you don't believe, it doesn't really matter. Just listen, this is good. But what I know is that it's not just protection, it's for your greatest good. So if they say no, or if it's painful and you need to say no, That's okay, because this isn't your person. Clarity is what we need. And then we need to move on. And the quickest way to get to a yes is to get through all the no's. It's like the quickest way to succeed is to just keep trying and failing. Now, I don't want you to just try without like the right skill set with matchmaking and dating, because it just burns people out and then they just don't want to keep going. But if you keep going with your efforts and with everything and doing the right things, getting a no is fabulous. It means you are not my human, or it could mean today you're not my human. Like it could, right? It has to be the right person at the right time. And that's something that's really important that we don't always recognize. And we're not like, some people are like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, but it's not the right time. Even if it is the right person, now is not your moment. And so like, let's let it be and we'll come back to it and we'll see.
I got to put that slogan on a t-shirt. And now that we're still in the bonus section of the podcast, shout out to Chanel, who just walked in the studio, by the way, because I said it. She's hiding behind the curtain. The last question, I want you to touch on what you're doing with the World Mizrahi. I believe that's what it is.
Yes.
What's going on over there?
Okay, so this whole concept of anyone can make a match is so big that it needs to be global. And it's not just like a phrase, or it's not just somebody says or something that they believe in. I actually want people doing it. And I want community-based matchmaking happen. What does that mean? If I ask you, where is your local synagogue in whatever city you live in? Will you have an answer?
Of course.
Who's your local rabbi? Will you have an answer? Even if you're not religious, even if you're just a part of any community, if you could look up and find out who's your local rabbi and where's your local synagogue? Who's your local matchmaker? Right. It's a joke, right? I'm everybody's local matchmaker and I'm not local. So we don't have an answer for that. And in the same way that every community has a synagogue and has a rabbi, every single community across the globe needs to have a matchmaker. And World Mizrahi is the Jewish religious Zionist movement that believes in the Jewish people and supporting them worldwide. And we're coming to not just help Jewish people or religious Jewish people, we're coming to help anybody. Secular people, traditional people, non-affiliated people, people who want to be involved with the Jewish community and can't find their match and then can't integrate. And so we want to establish community matchmaking in every place. So that answer, yes, there's a lead matchmaker for your community. They have a whole bunch of volunteer matchmakers that work with them. They have events that they run. They have coffee dates, meet and greets. They do setups. They have a database that they work with, but it's not AI. It's not online matchmaking only. It is about real humans, face to face, caring, saying, I want to help you. And I don't know your person, but if I get to know you better, maybe I'll recognize them when I meet new people. And that's the whole goal of this movement. And I'm hoping within, please God, the next, I'm going to call it 3 to 5 years. Let's say by
3 to 5, wow.
Let's say 20 to 2030 is
reasonable.
4 years. We'll round down a little. Okay. By 2030, people should be able to ask. And in a majority of the communities, they should say, I know who my community matchmaker is. I know who my lead matchmaker is. It's not in question anymore. It's just normal. The future of the Jewish people depends on this because, and quite frankly, in any community, the Christian people, the Hindu people, like we have to have our communities built. You can't have that when people don't get married, they have a job, they have a life, and then somewhere in their 30s or 40s, like it's like, okay, now let's integrate and find our human. We're literally missing and skipping generations by not getting married and not having families at a younger age. And then there's some people that don't even want to build families and have children, and like we want to support our communities. For some people, listen, no judgment, but I want to build the future of the Jewish people and the future of great people across the globe. And so we just need matchmakers in every single community, and there will be a solution, and it will be there. It's called the Jewish Matchmaking Movement with Aleeza and World Mizrahi, and you're going to see it popping up all over the news. We even have, by the way, over the summer, like Valentine's Day is a not Jewish thing, but Tu B'Av is a very Jewish thing, and it's just one day, but we turned it into after Tisha B'Av in the summer through Tu B'Av is Matchmaking Week.
Wow.
It's a whole week of Jewish matchmaking and supporting communities around the globe to really like bump it up and make a strong effort then.
It's crazy because I hear the idea and you say that every Jewish community, where's the rabbi? I know where I'm going. Where's the synagogue? Where's the kosher store? You know.
Yeah.
But it's like
there's a phone number, there's an address, you can arrive, you can talk to somebody. Where's your matchmaker? Like nobody has an answer. Yeah, we're gonna solve that problem.
It's crazy because that's about like the 17th thing that we've discussed today doing, and there's more that people don't know, and it just keeps going. And really, it just I'll echo it again. thank you so much for taking the time to join today. And really, you're very busy. And the fact that you came all the way here and spent the time on the show, just thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys so much for joining me in this week's episode. If I had one takeaway for myself and hopefully anybody that's listening to this, is that follow your passion. As Aleeza was saying at the end of the episode, you want to wake up every single day doing what you love, because obviously you only have one life to live. But really, it's something to take to heart, even for myself and for everybody that's listening, is that try to find that thing in your life where you really enjoy. You have a passion for it, and just go after it. Because if you could do that, you'll wake up every single day, God willing, with the biggest smile on your face, with the most energy that you can, like Aleeza, to jump up every single day out of bed. Looking forward to next week's episode. You definitely want to be here for that. And if you want to see next week's episode, obviously you have to subscribe to themoraleedge.com. We'll see you there. Enjoy.